child's sake? Is it the right decision or just the most difficult one to make? This is a journal entry that someone in that situation may write, contemplating whether they want to stay in their marriage, although they know that they are not happy. They're assuming that things would be worse if they separate. Here's the question. What if she grows up feeling like she didn't have a real family because of my decision? Is that true though, or are we just trying to predict the future? Here's the cool thing about the Plurawl app though. If you click this button right here, Reflect Together, it'll tell you all the limiting beliefs that you're displaying. This app could help people realize that they may be experiencing fortune telling. Essentially, we are jumping to conclusions and assuming that the worst is going to happen as if we can predict the future. And if they would have clicked the start discussion button, they would have received a personalized exercise specific to the limiting belief that they're displaying. So here you'll see that we're suggesting reality check on predictions. Download today and start your free trial so you can finally start making sense of your thoughts. I can't figure this out. I have no idea what I'm doing. Why don't you just ask someone on your team for help? Because it'll make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. So do you think asking for help would make you look weak? Not really. It just feels like I should know what I'm doing at this point. Okay, well, what if one of your teammates asks you for help? Would you judge them? Nah, I think they're actually being smart. Because if you don't know something, you should probably ask. So why are you holding yourself to a different standard? I never thought about it like that. Okay, now what's one thing that you can ask for help with right now?
Okay, thank you. Hello, hi, welcome to This Is Your Spotlight. I am your host, the effervescent, the lovely, la inolvidable. Nunca es igualada, never duplicated. You ready to see, Roman? Today I have a very interesting guest, and he's a fellow countryman. He's a Dominican just like I am. And what's fun about it is that he's tackling on mental health, which I'm going to tell you is something Dominicans treat like we don't talk about Bruno. That's how we treat it, sadly. It's like we can tell you about el plato de comida, la casa. Oh, sí, la tía se fue para acá. He can tell you about everything else without so going, I'm feeling depressed. Deprimido. Ooh. And then you look at them like, yeah, I'm depressed. Why are you smiling? You get what's wrong with you? Psicopata. It's like, and you're like, no, I'm not a psychopath. I'm going through some shit. I'm going through some ish. Excuse me. Some ish. So yeah, he developed this lovely, interesting app that's helping people with mental health, at least to get through the day by day, called Plurawl. But with a W. Get it together. Plurawl with a W. No se me confunda. Don't get confused. So, Pabel Martinez, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited for the conversation.
Yes. So, let's talk about the development of Plurawl or Plurawl. When did you have that moment of, I think the community needs this? When did that happen for you?
Well, it happened when I started going to therapy when I was working at Facebook, maybe like 3, 4 years ago.
Mhm.
And therapy helped me realize how many stories I was making up in my head. Like my therapist asked me one day, she was like, well, are you sure that that's going to happen? Or did you just create that story in your head? And I was like, oh, like that was the first time someone ever asked me if I was just, and I was like, yo, she's right. So at the time though, you got to think about like I was working at Facebook and the benefits there were ridiculous, right? Like they gave you free breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They paid for your therapy. They gave you all of these things and benefits. And I realized like I was in a position of privilege. So I was like, yo, everyone should have this level of access and insight into themselves to know like just the insight into themselves. So I was like, what if I can create a product that can replicate that scenario of like that patient client situation with a therapist, but at a fraction of the cost and as accessible as it is on your phone.
Because now you were thinking that, but there was people that you've got now Better Talks and you've got Headspace or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's different at every level and stuff and things to that nature. So I commend you for actually wanting to tackle that on, and you had that aha moment actually at work.
Yeah. Well, for many of us, I think it prevents us from doing work. Like if we're stuck in our thoughts. All right, here's a crazy stat. According to the National Science Foundation, 80% of our thoughts as humans are negative, and 95% of them are repetitive. So on a daily basis, we're stuck in this endless replay of, self-doubt. Am I good enough? Should I even be here? Should I raise my hand? Should I apply to this? Right. And it literally just prevents us oftentimes from doing tasks because we're stuck in this state of just like overthinking. Right. So if you can figure out why you're overthinking and why you're having that anxiety, it can help you like get past that point and do what you have to do.
Hmm, that's true. There is that. Wow. So the NSF, the National Science Foundation, has that on file. Oof, scary. Wow. Now, aside from that, from like hindrances towards completing, I guess, work goals or maybe family goals, is there anything else that potentially needs to be addressed?
I mean, everyone's going through their own battle. I think completing tasks and whatnot is probably like on one end of that. If we're thinking about it, but there's some people that have so many negative thoughts about themselves in the world that they don't even want to be here. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
right? So, like, I think there's also a case that we can like literally save lives with this sort of technology.
Well, yeah. Do you think at some point, because now with the whole thing with AI, do you think there'll be a chance for maybe for AI to infiltrate that somehow?
It actually is all AI right now.
Oof, that's
Yeah.
scary.
I mean, the beautiful thing is that a lot of these policies, procedures, ideas on how to guide people's thoughts and get them to a point where they can open up, all of that has been taught to humans already. So in many ways, now we can teach it to AI. And AI solves a lot of problems that humans will never be able to solve, right? Like when I was in therapy, I saw my therapist once a week. What about those other 6 days a week? Right? Like if I have a panic attack at 2 a.m., I can't call my therapist, right? Like we need resources that go beyond just this 1 hour call every week. And also I have licensed therapists on my advisor team. And a lot of people ask like, oh, are they intimidated? Are they scared about like AI? And they're actually excited for the technology because in many ways it can help them do their job better. When I was in therapy and my therapist was like, "Oh, how are you?" I was like, "I know how to communicate my emotions. I don't have the
Mm.
right language." In
Right.
addition, she was always like, "Oh, how was your week?" I don't remember, right? Now I can remember, right? Because I can just pull a report on the app and it'll tell me how my week was. So there's a lot of ways that it's not necessarily there to replace. In many ways, it's there to complement the work that humans are already doing.
Hmm. So how are the time intervals of the weekly report? Is it 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour? Like how?
Sorry, what do you mean? The report?
No,
Like how long is the report?
no. Basically, like for example, if you checked in, let's say between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, the report's going to reflect the times that you checked in and the issues that you had at the time. Like let's say I had a breakdown or a close to a breakdown at 7:30 on a Thursday.
Right.
Is it going to be in the report?
So it's very simple. Like if you open up the app, you'll see various ways for you to vent or check in, and there's even a way where you can have a one-on-one conversation directly with the AI that's been trained in therapy approaches. So based on all of those check-ins, your venting sessions, your conversations, which are fully encrypted, so I can't read it, but we will summarize it back to you in a weekly report so that you can have a better understanding of like how your week actually went, as well as we can give you the language for you to understand and like put an emotional word to it. So it's also helping people expand their emotional vocabulary.
Mm, okay. So it's supposed to assist people at least to be a little more emotionally intelligent, give or take.
Exactly, exactly. Because the wild things that there's research out there that like if you're having like anxiety, um, and you can find a word to like summarize and qualify exactly how you're feeling, automatically as soon as you have that word, it makes it more manageable in your body. Like you'll feel it to be more manageable, whatever you're experiencing. So like having that language is really important.
Yeah. And also, I think it's an interesting time for it to be in use now and also in development in terms of like getting it out there to the masses and the little more like, because when you develop an app, it's a lot of work plus the phase of just launching it. You also have to like keep consistent at it and come up with some feedback of what to make better. And also you have to think about nah, I wouldn't say biofeedback, but something to that effect. So, the work is only beginning in terms of the app. How long has the app been up or been,
So
out there?
we launched July last year, early
Okay.
July last year,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just launched version 2 last month, so December. So
Okay.
based on all, so the first people we gave access to was our advisors so that they can make sure that it's like clinically safe and, responding accordingly to how they would talk to their clients and patients and our users. So we made a bunch of updates based on that, and then we launched version 2. So yeah, I mean, it's a constant work in progress, but it's no different than any humans, right? Like
Mhm.
if you're at a job, like you are constantly getting feedback on what's working, what's not working, and then you make adjustments accordingly. It's the same thing.
Right, right, right. Do you think it'll tackle on aside from just could they like detect based upon the therapies that they're giving you? Like if you need a CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, if you need dialectic behavioral therapy, DBT, or if you need just talk therapy as it's labeled, or is
Mhm.
it just, something more advanced or maybe biorhythm, no, biofeedback therapy, which they put the electrodes on you. Like, can they gather that or like get you a resource to those therapies, maybe?
Yeah, so I mean, in the future, the possibilities are endless and limitless. Right now, we're working with the technologies that we have on our cell phones, but right now it's mostly text based. So you can send voice notes. And one of the big features that people really enjoy is that once you vent, you click one button, and we can tell you the limiting beliefs that you're displaying in your head. So the voices, my inner critic, the stories that I was creating about the future, like there are like a handful of names and categories for each of these limiting beliefs. So if you're jumping to conclusions, like we'll tell you, and then we'll give you exercises to help you overcome whenever you are jumping to conclusions in the future.
Oh wow. That
Yeah.
sounds interesting, but a little scary though.
I
Not
mean,
gonna lie,
it's
it sounds a
again,
little scary.
I get it. I get it. But a lot of people are
Mhm.
using the app for a long period of time as well. Actually, they're using it on average per session for about an hour. And the reason for that is because
Mm.
people aren't just taking a meditation class, people aren't just taking a breathing exercise or participating in one. They are
Mm.
engaged and learning about themselves. That's something that every user says. So
Mm.
that hour, like that's high compared to a lot of apps.
Wow. No, yeah. Also, they also recommend you said exercise classes and breathing and meditation. Is that
No,
also
no, we
included?
don't. No, no, I said unlike meditation
Ah,
class or
right,
breathing exercise, which
right, right,
people will
right.
spend, a couple minutes, 10 minutes. People are spending on average an hour on the platform. Now, as far as recommendations, like if you're experiencing personalization, for example, that's one of the limiting beliefs. We'll recommend to you an exercise. So, for example, we'll be like, "Yo, Pavel, what if your friend came to you with the same scenario? Like, what would you tell them?" And then you'll be like, "Oh, well, I'll probably tell them this, and that." And then the AI will be like, well, that's a little different than how you're talking to yourself. Like, do you see, right? So, like, it's sort of like pointing the mirror back at you as people pleasers. I got an app for you that may change your life. I was journaling on the Plurawl app about how much help I need. Every time I think about asking for help, though, I'm like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a burden. They're probably gonna be like, oh, you should have figured it out by now. What if they're busy? What if they don't respond? What if they say no? Here's the cool thing about the app, though. You see this reflect together button? When I clicked it, it told me that I may be experiencing personalization, which I was like, what? What that mean? And how can I fix it? Then it suggested an exercise. Imagine your friend came to you with the same situation. Would you tell them that they're a burden? Would you tell them to not seek help and just continue to struggle? Or would you tell them something else? And if you would, why is it so difficult for you to say the same thing? I was not ready for the clapback. but it was right.
The work she'd be doing is so much better than mine. What makes you think their work is better? I don't know. It just feels so polished and creative. My work feels basic. Do you think their work looked this good when they started? Probably not, but it still feels like they're way ahead of me. What if instead you compared yourself to your own growth? You mean like how far I've come? Exactly. Let's think about some work that you're proud of. I mean, I did make a video that got a lot of love recently, and I did not expect it to hit like that. And that inspiration didn't come from you comparing yourself, right? Nah, it just came from me being honest. What's stopping you from doing that again?
So you're scared to post content? Yeah. Because you think people are going to say it's corny? Yeah. Or you think people are going to start unfollowing you? Yeah. But can you predict the future? Nah, but if I could, I would play the lotto. So if you can't predict the future and you're just assuming, why are you assuming these worst case scenarios? I don't know. That's just where my head goes. If you're already creating stories in your head about what's going to happen, what if you just created positive ones? Like, this content is going to hit and resonate with a lot of people as an exercise form so that you can learn to overcome the limiting belief that you're displaying.
Mm.
Again, very similar to what a therapist would do.
No, correct, correct, correct. But then also, because you have the difference between a therapist, a psychotherapist, and a psychiatrist.
Mhm.
And the difference between, I guess, those three titles is really, or even a social worker too. Um, Everybody has like their function and their roles, and I think the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist might be the ability to issue prescriptions. I think I could
Mhm.
be absolutely wrong, just in case.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we
So,
we never claimed to be a therapist, and if anything, we what we call it is an AI thought partner because we help you with your thoughts and processing them and making sense of them.
mhm. So, what was the importance of trying to what's the importance of trying to make sure that that was something accessible to your users?
And making sure what was accessible.
No, no, the fact that to make, the app as easy as possible, for people to use, and then, for people to find ways that they needed to when it came to like the therapies that were being like, oh, you spoke for an hour. And like you said, this app says, well, you weren't speaking to yourself that way. Why would you give that kind of advice? Like, examples like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, most of us are stuck in this endless loop or replay of self doubt, negative thoughts, and most of the time, these situations are often more manageable than we thought they were, right? Because when we try to predict the future, we often go to this worst case scenario as if we can predict the future, right? But once you realize your limiting belief, whether you're experiencing personalization or catastrophizing or jumping to conclusions, you'll realize, like, oh shit, I am trying to predict the future. Like, that's what my anxiety is. That's where it's taking me. And then you can realize that your situation is a lot more manageable than you thought it was. So that's a resource that took me a lot of money on my employer side to figure out. We can do it at a fraction of the cost for folks in real time.
That sounds interesting. And it sounds like it was like, so that's why you did that for 6 months. See how that went with the first version, no? And then
That was
did
the
you,
first version. Yeah.
right? And then now you've added the second version. So then you've added the changes from the first and you implement into the second. How many versions do you think you'll need until it's like do you hit a plateau at some point with the
No,
version?
it's a lifelong process.
Mhm.
Instagram doesn't stop rolling out versions.
Wow.
Just like we don't stop rolling out versions of ourselves, right? Like we continue evolving based on our
Mhm.
life experience, what people said, our friends and family, all these kind of things. So it's no different. We'll continue to listen to folks. I also have a bunch of ideas. So do my advisors on how to make the world a better place, more accessible, more affordable. So nah, it's a never ending process.
Yeah, that's very true. That is very, very true. And what's like, because the thing is, working with an app and always trying to one up it and see what you can do. It doesn't feel like it's ever like me versus me type when it comes to the development of it or to the enhancement of it.
No, I mean, I just see it as, like you said, everyone has so many different needs. For me, it's just about like meeting those needs and evolving with technology. For me, I get excited when new technology comes out because I'm able to implement that into the app, right? So right now it's all text based, right? But in the near future, you'll be able to dial a number and you be able to speak one on one with the AI as you are sending voice notes. And that's exciting to me because a lot of people don't want to text. A lot of people don't want to send voice notes. But the fact that you can pick up a phone and call and get that support, that's game changer.
Yeah, a lot of industries are suffering through that, honestly, especially now with, like you said, development of AI, and then a lot of people are worried about their jobs being secure and safe and things like that. So yeah, it's a tough hill to climb.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, it's just like, well, that, and also, for example, like before we press record, I told you that I have attention deficit hyper disorder.
Hmm.
And would you be at some point open to helping people in the disability community, like people with, you have people who have bipolar disorder, you have people with sensory processing disorder, you have people. The one that's really tough, and it's not, it's more of a disorder than anything in the world, and it's not included in the American Disability Act of 1990, is actually Munchausen by proxy syndrome. Like it's an
Hmm.
like, imposter syndrome, pretty much. Like, you kind of deflect or try to get people to be empathetic towards you by using somebody to kind of like show what a good person you are, but it's truly you're not that great of a person. You're actually kind of manipulative and stuff like that. So there's that. Would you ever tackle on any of those?
Yeah, I mean, I want to tackle everything and anything that we can. But yeah, I mean, I think we can tackle some of the things that you mentioned already, like imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is quick story time. So I've been going live every day with this background. You good? Safe space to vent. And I'm doing this because oftentimes it's easier to share things with complete strangers than even the people that we love. That said, people go in there with all types of different situations, from a recent breakup to potentially a crisis situation. And I'm very clear with folks. I'm like, this is not a crisis hotline. Please use the appropriate hotlines. 988. I don't know what came over me at some point, but this person was talking about urges of self-harm. And I was like, you know what? Just use our app. They said, all right, I'm going to download it. I'll be right back. Obviously blocked out their name and profile picture, but they said that this app is actually helping them with the urges. Plurawl actually helped them take a step back and actually figure out why they're feeling that way. Essentially helping them understand that their situation was a lot more manageable than they thought. And they said that they're going to recommend Plurawl to their friends who are also struggling with these urges. Plurawl is saving lives and we're just getting started. Something that I experienced working in big tech at companies, again, like Meta. And a lot of it has to do with self-doubt, but also me trying to predict the future or predict a situation or assume that I know. I- It's almost like talking as if I know the facts, which I don't. So it's a lot of like jumping to conclusions, right? And if you use the app, you can understand that about yourself. So again, some of those things are things that we can work on and tackle right now.
Mm. So okay, for the app, it's on Android and also on Apple, no?
Only on Apple.
Oh,
We don't have the Android version yet. Just because I am a solo founder and I'm not
oh,
building the app myself, so I'm paying an app dev team to build it. So I can't
wow.
afford to build the Android yet.
Oh, darn. You were so close. You almost had me. I'm an Android user. Sorry, I'm not an Apple person.
No worries. Hopefully coming this year.
No, of course, of course. Um, anything extra that you hope that the app will do?
I mean, I would love to help 1 billion people over the next 10 years with their mental health and making this sort of support more affordable and accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you're a business or a nonprofit, we can offer discounted pricing to your members, students, employees. We do that for a couple organizations already now, so feel free to reach out to me if you're interested.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. So the organizations that you do offer that to would be like what?
I mean, so there's a college university that we're about to launch a test with right now, so they get
Cool.
discounted pricing for their students at the university.
Yeah.
And then for nonprofits, well, so the college university they sign up for, I don't know, let's say 300 accounts, right? And they get a certain price. If they want to increase that, they get a further discount. For nonprofits, they just get a flat rate discount where they can offer their members or alumni.
Interesting. So what's so you had the aha moment while you're working at Facebook/Meta. And so basically the therapist told you that you were making stuff up?
Hmm.
No, come on, really?
Yeah, she was right.
What kind of fantastic grandiose scenarios were you making up that she was like, yeah, you're no, that's not what you do here.
Oh, I mean, it's simple stuff. Like I'll give you an example. I had an interview the other day with an investor, and I haven't heard back from them yet. I have thousands of scenarios as to why they haven't emailed me back yet. Right? I'm like, oh, well, maybe he got sick, or maybe he just forgot about me, or maybe he just found somebody better. It doesn't matter what the scenario is, right? The point is that like I don't have the facts. I assume that all these things happen, but there's no way to confirm unless I have the facts, which is hearing from him to tell me, right? So I'm just making up stories in my head around like what happened and why they haven't emailed me back yet. We all do
You don't think you can cultivate that into like maybe some fiction work?
it. Yeah, I could do that.
It's like, yeah, I could. If I had to, if I wanted to sit down and like write something, I could. Um, has there been anything specific that inspired you as the work has progressed?
Um, I mean, I've been going on TikTok live every day for like the past 2 weeks. And a lot of people have been coming in there, and it's just like I just have like a sign in the back, and it just says, "You good? Safe space to vent." And a lot of people have been venting about just like their lives and what's going on. And it's one thing to like read these research studies, but to then literally read in the comments as people come in, like the tragic and traumatic things that are happening in people's lives.
Yeah.
It's sad, and at the same time made me feel purposeful that I am creating a product for a lot of people to help them. There's a lot of people that download it as they're on the live and they come back and they're like, oh, it's amazing. It's actually going to help me. I'm going to tell people about it. Right. So I think I feel the most purposeful when I'm talking to customers and users that have used the app and told me that it's helping their lives.
Oh, well, that sounds good though, actually. That kind of sounds like it revives and reinvigorates you. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Perfect words. Perfect words. Yeah.
And it's tough because sometimes when you do things for a period of time, sometimes you get those moments of like lag and lull
Mhm.
that you kind of they're like, am I doing it? Should I be doing more or should I be doing less? And yeah, again, those seeds of doubt as you have illustrated. So it's just like, yeah. Well, I think everybody should check out Plural with a W.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So go ahead. Shameless plug. Go ahead. Take it
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Plural is an AI powered thought partner that will help you identify and overcome your limiting beliefs. Like if you jump into conclusions, it's simple. You vent, you click one button, and we'll teach you something about yourself. And you can have a conversation with the AI. If you want to have a if you want to explore those thoughts further, you can have a conversation one on one with the AI that's been trained in therapy approaches. It's free for the first 14 days. So try it out. If you like it, keep it going.
So thank you too one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Not that we have any. So one more time. So thank you, Pavel, for being on the show. This is your spotlight. I appreciate it. And let's keep it going in terms of your mental health app, Plural with a W. Plural with a W.
Th- Thank you. I'm excited for everyone to use it.
Yes, yes, yes. And let's get everybody, well, not excited about life, but let's get everybody some resources and help them out and help them tackle whatever they have to do nowadays. So thank you. Hold on.